So the thing that is worth noting is technically you're coming up with a superhero team name. Technically. Uh, but there's two pieces to this. One is there's Surge's assignment, which is come up with a superhero team name, which is clearly fictional because it's just for the classroom assignment. Now, the understanding here is that the sort of unspoken, spoken understanding here is that in addition to that, um, the Hellbinder, whoever intends to have that stand as your
Club name.
team name, your club name. That doesn't make you. I mean, that doesn't mean it's going to go in the newspapers that way, except as you know this group of young heroes from Phoenix Academy, no, who organize at the school under their club name of blah blah blah, or so on and so forth. And here they are. They're not going to, unless it's a really catchy name, they're not likely to turn that into your superhero name any more than you know.
We don't have to worry about being in the basement club when we're 25.
No, that's the thing. You're not. That's the joke, right? You come up like when you do a band when you're like 17 years old, and every single time you get a gig, you rename the band because you're trying out different names, and then the night when you hit and get an agent, you're stuck with the name that you picked that night. Um, isn't necessarily the thing that's going to happen.
So true story.
So
The Moody Blues name because MB was the initials of a beer manufacturer that they were trying to become associated with as a promotional gig.
Nice.
And then that fell through.
And I can't remember how many band names I've heard over the years. Well, hell, Bare Naked Ladies for that matter. If they thought at the time that that was going to be what they were going to get settled with for the rest of their lives. Margie, you're miking up. So yeah, I mean, the fact that it has meaning within the school is really the primary point, and it can be that kind of temporary, memeable, like, only funny for one semester kind of name because, honestly, who cares? It's just inside the school, and if it's funny inside the school, that's probably the win-win because, that's the primary people that you're, trying to interact with or whatever. So, you're not. It isn't like. So that's one point. It isn't like the menagerie where you're like trying to come up with what your public identity is going to be. You're not talking to Aegis about this. You're just trying to fill out the registration sheet for the principal. So there's that.
Yeah, but age 15 is forever. Like
I'm just waiting for Roddy to blurt it out in front of the press. So,
and well, I don't know what it is anyway. I'm just making a couple observations.
Mr. Awesome and the Awesomes.
I don't know about that one.
Mr. Awesome and the Awesome Sauce.
I mean, the other point is, I don't know about all y'all, but at least a few of us had some fairly significant doubts about the menagerie when it first rolled out as the name of the thing, and that seemed to work out okay. So,
sure.
I don't know what was in there. To talk about a couple other, so all right, let's back up. Advisor, you guys had settled on that, so let's go with the thing that we actually know is probably a thing. So, who's the advisor that you're going to approach about all of this? It sounds like you guys had settled on that.
It seems to have worked out to be Arizella.
Cool.
With one. Go ahead.
I finished the sentence.
I think it was basically like, were we talking about James's potential objection?
Yeah.
Yep. That was never really in the cards. Arizona's not. trying to form bonds with the students and the faculty is exactly what it sounds like without any ulterior motive. She's not 22, well, it'd be 20, I guess
I like the
22.
idea of the trying to get respect from.
Yeah, absolutely. She's not 22
That's one
trying
of
to
the
creep on
reasons why
students.
she agrees to take us on. Is
Right.
that it's sort of an expected step of being a real teacher in the school.
Oh yeah. Alternately, she's what do I want to say? Kind of has to say yes because the lowest person on the tenure totem pole kind of ends up getting the you know these kinds of jobs, but you guys are the ones that are approaching her, so that's not really the angle there. With that said, go ahead.
We are her hazing ritual, basically.
Yeah, you've got to like you've got to take one of the new clubs. All right, well, I was part of clubs when I understand the whole thing. Yeah, well, it's going to be these guys, and okay. And I don't know whether Dave was going for the idea of whether Joe was just being embarrassed because of the poetry thing, or if he was going for the the awkward schoolboy crush that doesn't go anywhere thing. But I'm fine with that either
No, no,
way.
no,
It
no,
doesn't
no,
really
no, no.
matter.
It was solely about the poetry.
The poetry thing, which is fine. No, she's likely to be. I mean, my angle on her, especially at least in this one, I have a different take on her for the other game, but my angle on her for this one is very much that whole like still trying to figure out how to fake it till you make it. She's an excellent superhero, you know, of the super strong, kind of tough, can breathe water Sinbad variety, so she's not like top tier because she's not I kept saying like Wonder Woman and Aquaman, except she's not at that power level. And there's some small 1970s part of me that still balks the idea of associating the words Aquaman and power level at all, because I will never like that guy. But at any rate, she's she's not like she's not that A-level superhero in terms of the power and stuff like that. But as for what she is, she's really good. So that's not the problem. The problem is being treated like an adult when she's not doing that stuff. Being taken seriously and stuff. And many times reflecting or possibly not reflecting on the fact that it's a terrible idea that she came back to the school, because how do you get respect as a faculty member when every other person on the faculty was teaching you 4 years ago? There's a reason when you finish your undergrad that you don't do your postgrad at the same university. That kind of thing. Anyway. So I like her. I think that she's great, and if you're going to do some globetrotting, who better than somebody who can get around over, quite easily over the thing that covers 70% of the planet. So there's that, and with a not insignificant chance that she's going to have to help you negotiate sometimes with, not all of Kiln's old ruins are above water. Perhaps not even the significant one. So there's a whole fun angle there that I really like, as far as the advisor thing. And no, I don't have any interest in teacher-student shenanigans. That's not.
Fortunately, we don't have any students interested in that either.
Works.
I also want to mention that I definitely think that Serge should continue to be writing us wherever possible.
Oh, absolutely.
Like picking Arizella for the advisor doesn't mean writing Serge out. I want to make very sure of that.
No. I 100% agree with that. Definitely want Serge around.
He might even rouse us more.
Oh yes, I find that even likely. Let me grab. Where do I want to get that from? Image.
And Joyce, just to make things a little easier for the group, I am actually planning on taking Kirby Craft for my advancement.
Nice.
And I actually have a thought as to how that comes about.
Kaylee will kill me for putting this image up because she doesn't like this picture at all. It's one of the early ones that she didn't really know. But that was one of her. That was one of her very early drawings, and she did it for Arizona. So, and fun. While the other one is awesome, and certainly both can easily be canon, puts her a lot visually, I think, a lot closer to that. You know,
I love that picture.
it hasn't been that long since which one?
The one you just put up.
Oh, this one? Yeah.
The water one.
Yeah, this one's great. This one, though, to me looks a lot closer to it hasn't been that long since I was a student.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, she wears the glasses just so that she looks older and doesn't actually need them. And it's not for the aesthetic. It's for I need to look older than I just need to look older.
I don't know. I'll pitch you the idea that like eyes adapted for underwater vision are not going to be good for surface vision.
That's fair.
So
Maybe she legit
need correction.
Also, I will say that is the textbook definition of for the aesthetic.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. It's not for the artistic aesthetic. It's for the image. It's for the imagery. It's for the message being sent. But I like that. I like the idea of the corrective lenses because she needs them outside the water. So lots of fun there. But yeah, Kayla looks at this picture now. She still really likes the scales, but she's like, what was I doing with the musculature? What even was happening there? So, yeah, whatever.
Kind of me.
I think, and I tell her this all the time, if you can't be annoyed by what you were drawing 3 months ago, you're not getting a lot better. And she's constantly annoyed by whatever she was drawing 3 months ago. So.
Yep. If you can't see where you've grown, then you haven't grown yet.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So, some fun stuff there, some fun images and stuff like that. Now, what were the actual?
I'll put a link in the Roll20 that takes you to most of
the personality quiz one?
final six. It's a comment within there. All that stuff was in there.
Right. Okay. Star-Lord. The primals, the attitudes. I have to tell you that I have I mean, I know which one I like. There is a clear winner for me, but
I know which one I like, but it's a group consensus.
For me personally, Study Hall 5 is fantastic. Like I just
that was not mine.
Well, yeah, I just like it. I don't know why. SH5, Study Hall 5, it's, you know, or was it Study Hall? Oh, Study Hall 6 was the and somebody, I think it was Mike that said like, well, Study Hall 6 would be more alliterative but we don't have 6 people. Okay, we'll put Study Hall in 6 period.
The thing is that SEAL Team 6 only implies the existence of SEAL Teams 1 through 5, and that's exactly why it was named that, to throw people off.
Oh, I see. See, for me, it wasn't that it was like the 6th team. It was like it happens during 6th period.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, the name can... It's okay for a name to be not entirely representative.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I love the idea of like Study Hall 6. Like, why did you pick Study Hall 6? There aren't 6 of you. Well, it was for the period of the day. Your Study Hall's in 5th period. Yeah, it just sounded better.
Like, we have a secret ninja member that nobody's ever seen.
What was Margie saying?
I thought we had some more conversation about this thread. Was there more someplace else?
There's a bunch of conversation throughout this entire thread. I just scrolled down 6 names to...
And a lot of conversation as well in the improper quotes.
Yeah, the improper quotes spiraled over.
Okay, that's where I saw it.
I'm not counting any of that though. I mean, if somebody is, put it in this thread. So.
Yeah. I'll take anything, honestly. Delvers is fun. There's what Mike? What was your personal preference?
Oh, Delver sounded the most fun to me.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Again.
I am not going to be bad. I'm not going to be mad at Study Hall 6. I was the one who came up with it. Yeah.
That's a good point. But honestly, I mean, I can only say like I think that's. I mean, my entire input on this is that one sounds cool to me, but they all sound cool to me. So you know, and again, we're not picking. You know,
I want
I'm
to pitch
trying
a
to think
combination
more
of,
about what, like my 14-year-old self would find funny.
Kaylee, we need you.
on that note, I'm going to pitch a combination of temple exploration and superhero names that I don't think anybody will actually accept, but I like it anyway.
Wait a
Yes.
second.
Tomb Patrol.
Ha!
That's gonna get us sued.
We need you. No, that's so good. I kind of like that so much. Tomb Patrol. Are you kidding me? Oh, it's so good. We need help. We need to channel our inner 14-year-old. We don't have an inner 14-year-old, so we're picking an outer 14-year-old.
I
Okay.
have
What-
an inner 14-year-old. I'll have you know.
Oh yeah. Like what's going to happen is that if we don't decide on a name by 8 o'clock my time, I'm going to roll a die, and that's going to be it.
Okay,
So,
that's fair.
I'm-
So they've been trying
That
to
is the
figure out.
most Alex answer.
They've sort of shoehorned Hellbinder into approving them as an official school club so that they can go on field trips to go find stuff, right? They have to come up with a club name, and they've narrowed it down to these. I'm going to say 7 because by God, Bills should be on the list. Tomb Patrol, as opposed to Doom Patrol. She's looking at the list. Basement
It's
Club.
hard to remember that the whole appeal of Band of Seekers is that we could abbreviate it BS. We could be the BS Club.
I feel like every time somebody applies for a club name in the school, like they have like a specific group of like faculty
Oh, it's like the people
volunteers.
that review license plate
Exactly
applications.
where I was going with that. Yes, they like had to review it. Like, okay, what is it if you flip around and spell it backwards? Because that doesn't sound like a real word. What is it if you get the acronym? Oh, it's the acronym they were going for. Yeah, no, tell them no. Tomb Patrol. Tomb Patrol. Because it's like Doom Patrol from yeah, okay. And then Tombs. So the 14-year-old likes Tomb Patrol and the Basement Club.
I mean, if you were gonna do the attitudes, you just have to do the attitude. Like it's just one being.
Oh, okay. And her other input is that if you're going to do the attitudes, you have to just do the attitude, like it's a singular being. Like the
It's
club.
all about the attitude.
Yeah, the club is just the attitude, or attitude by itself. You don't do plurals. It is a singular blob-like entity of. Fortress. There you go. So it's not plural there either. I mean, there's much to recommend that as well. You know. Primals, the attitude, Delvers, Basement Club. Doom Patrol is so good though.
Well, the nice thing about Roll20 is you can roll 1d7 as easily as 1d6.
So does
Bill,
Haley have any other eating and sarcastic
the
stage
attitude,
feedback for us?
Basement Club. Kaylee, do you yourself have any sarcastic club name suggestions of any kind?
You think I'm creative with that? No.
Apparently, she thinks the very idea that she would be creative in this way is really,
Is amusing.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
she's aware how many pun people there are on
It's true.
this thing, and
I don't hold a candle.
yeah, she doesn't hold a
Th-
can.
Tell her thank you,
Yeah.
and
She's sketching and eavesdropping, so
good.
Yeah.
Joy.
James?
as I was saying in response to Bill's message, of those 3, I would personally go with Tomb Patrol.
Yes, I think those are the leaders. Bill, I would agree with that. I'm staying out of it from this point forward because I'm happy with any of those.
So I'm sorry.
All
What are the
right.
what are the three again?
So if we're Tomb Patrol, then we're
Roll
T.
20 cat.
Tomb
that's
I'm
Patrol,
good with Tomb Patrol.
Tomb Patrol, Basement Club, and the Attitude.
I like all of those. If anybody has a preference, let me know. But I'm happy with any of those.
Well, I
I would
just
pro-
expressed my preference.
Tomb Patrol.
Which one
I
did
would
you
probably lean. I would probably lean slightly the attitude, but not overpoweringly in any given direction. So I'm good whichever way we end up.
All right. So it sounds like we have 2 for Tomb Patrol,
Mm,
and I'm a third.
okay.
There we go.
So I think that's a quorum.
There we go.
Even with Bill theoretically abstaining, although he came
I'm
up with
gonna-
the idea.
Logistically.
What'd you say, Bill?
Yeah, I abstain and I apologize in advance.
No, I think that this just means that Joe has to change his name to Attitude.
What?
Superhero name.
The Attitude, Joe Young.
It's Attitude. Like Prince. Yeah.
Just Attitude.
I'm pretty sure every bull could be called that.
Taken.
God, I just got a whole new insight into the bowl. Not from Joe, but having binge watched through the Avatar, the Last Airbender, we're starting up Korra now, and she's a bull.
Oh, yeah.
I just kind of got that in my head just now, because holy moly. She's strong too. I didn't really track that. Like, she's like not humanly strong. She's not normally strong, which I hadn't really tracked before. But she does stuff that is kind of crazy.
Even without earthbending.
Yeah, even without, but she's just like randomly one-handed picking up people, and I was like, oh, it's it's kind of the style of the show. No, they never did stuff like that. She just randomly picks people up. This is what I really appreciate from an artistic design point of view. They, that female protagonist thing where they put her in the like sort of unrealistically body clinging top to show off the musculature and stuff, but it only actually applies to her back. Like, you don't get any details on the front, but you see every muscle definition on the back, because we still need to be able to see exactly how jacked she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Anyway, bit of a tangent. Okay, so when you get to Surge's classroom, is this... Because I got to think you guys are like literally talking about this, like applied scales of the PE and stuff like that is usually like first or second period or something like that. It's like you guys are still probably debating this at breakfast. So class starts and he calls you guys. Who's representing you guys to answer these? I can't remember who did it last time. Who was reading off stuff? Or did we not say?
No
not
one.
Roddy.
We just stood there in silence.
Oh. Well, you had some. Yeah, right.
Well,
ran
I
out
think
the
the only question we were asked was,
Team
name.
Right.
Yeah, and we ran out
And
the
we all
clock
kind
on
of
that.
And the bell rang.
And bell rang. So this is Surge. So he will call on... Good Lord, who would he call on? Met. Met, because, well, Alex is constantly busting his chops, and that's exhausting this early in the morning. And Roddy and him have weird stuff going on. Yeah, no, he
So
call on Met.
it's
He probably actually kind of doesn't hate you that much. Although he thinks you're probably like overqualified for the group that you're in, but whatever. No accounting for taste. Anyhow,
It's just because I haven't broken anything big yet.
it's probably fair. So yeah, he'll call on you.
That wall was pretty big.
All
Break a
right.
wall.
Who broke the wall?
I broke what's her name through the glass ceiling. You know.
Technically, there was no
Us-
glass left in that ceiling.
A ceiling is kind of expensive.
You threw her into,
Compared to the rest of the damage, though, oh,
relatively minor. Matt, your group completely unexpectedly and certainly not out of any planning tragically ran out of time to answer the question for the assignment that you were given during the last class, so we will quickly review your group's chosen superhero team name. With what designation will you wow the news agencies and Tumblr fan sites of the future?
the group has decided that, in light of our interest in research and exploration, that we should be the Tomb Patrol.
And there's like a moment of silence. Well, actually, no. Let me.
She's totally serious with it.
I gotta.
She is not. She does not get the joke at all.
I'm gonna. I gotta pull the pictures out of the way so I can see this. Sequoia legitimately laughs in delight. Like he actually finds it. He seems to find it legitimately funny. Sync, you catch Paul like going nice. You also catch Gothwitch going seriously.
It's Tiffany.
Hunter's
She would say that regardless of what
Yes.
we came up with.
Hunter snorts in derision, but he was doing that almost before you were done talking, so you think he just probably had that ready.
That snort was already in the chamber
Yeah,
before he even started
it
talking.
was already in the chamber. No giggles a little bit. Hot mess is actually probably looks annoyed that they didn't think of it first. But also there's like an eye roll thing because puns. Evan,
I'm sure that Jillian has an eye roll for us too.
yes, maybe, yeah, probably. I don't know if she'd necessarily get the joke right away. Neither would 2Kick.
We know Evan wouldn't.
Great
Yeah,
hashtag.
Evan likes the name, but is also liking the name having taken it completely straight. So very much like your delivery, he just tracks it as a name, the Tomb Patrol, and it's like, catchy, specialized but catchy. Like it's just, and Chris is like so cool, like.
I'm not sure where Chris is these days.
She just, I don't know. She's not exactly a fangirl, but she's going to be automatically predisposed to liking what you guys do as a general rule. So
Fair enough.
make sure and ruin that, But yeah, it generally tracks pretty well across the group. Surge doesn't even respond. He doesn't even react. He just writes it down. Tomb Patrol. Right. Went that direction.
That's so hard.
Yeah. I'm so glad I waited an extra 24 hours for that bombshell. Right. Well, you may sit down. I'm sure the fan art will be astounding. Right, for today, and we're going to kind of fade away from that. Towards the end of the class, though, when you're going down, though, Nena's like, Nono says something to the effect of like, I love the pun. That's so funny. Which may or may not earn her a blank stare back from Matt. I don't know. Uh, is Nono's reaction possibly the first time that it occurred to you this might have like a double meaning kind of thing, or?
No, they explained it to me.
Oh, I see. But
And
you're,
when I said, why is that funny?
mm.
I still let them know.
I feel like it would have taken Joe or Roddy like groaning at it to even bring it up, because I can't imagine Alex did anything but like suggest it perfectly straight faced. Or was it more like your actual delivery, Bill, was like, okay, this is just a suggestion that I know is terrible, but I can't not say it? Or does Alex just put it out there like with no acknowledgement at all that it's a?
I think Alex would just drop that bomb on the group because, like
Leave it on
if
the
y'all don't
doorstep
have-
and walk away.
yeah, like if y'all don't have a better name for it, here's my threat to motivate you to have a better name.
And then they picked it. Lovely.
So what you're implying then is that the Doom Patrol is something people know about.
Well, it's got to be. And
Well,
There's obviously a Doom Patrol comic.
Is there?
I was actually doing it more as like it's like it because of the Tomb Raider influence.
well, you channeled your inner 14-year-old then on that one, because I told Kelly the thing, and then she immediately referred to, like when she was going back through the list and listing them off, she said the Tomb Raiders instead of Doom Patrol. So she obviously made that personal connection as well. So well done there. Yes, in some way, shape, or form implies that there's a pun to be had there. Although what the Doom Patrol is in this world is,
I'm sure that Alex will make us watch the pertinent media.
Yeah, there is no comic book. It was like a 1 or 2 season like Hanna-Barbera superhero cartoon, like back when Justice League would have been, in our world, circulating the original Justice League or something like that, with all the wonderful animation that implies. Was that Hanna-Barbera? Original Justice League?
No.
Who did that? What was that?
Ruby Spears.
Oh, the old. Oh, yeah. Just okay, that one.
The original, like, yeah.
Ruby Spears.
Where they did the spin-offs of Jan and.
Okay, so
Well,
challenge of the
you're thinking of Super Friends.
Oh, am
Yeah.
I thinking of Super Friends? That's what I'm
Yes.
thinking of. So yeah, the Doom Patrol gets dropped into the slot occupied by the Super Friends in this universe. Maybe, I don't know. So it's never really even a comic. It's just this thing. Anyway, except for a gritty mid-90s reboot by Grant Morrison. Nobody talks about. Anyway, all right. So class proceeds. The interesting thing about it is that having sort of picked the name, for whatever reason, does seem to capture or sort of, I guess, capture the energy of the class a little bit, because at some point in time, somebody in the class is usually making some sort of comment about it while there's like different activities and stuff going on, different stuff that Serge got you guys do. Today's a little bit more research, a little bit more research oriented. It's him picking up, find teams that inexplicably with inexplicable longevity despite what looks like unlikely origins, and he actually has like a list of like 10 teams that you probably know that you shouldn't.
And 10 teams that are in the one-hit wonder list of MTV.
Yeah, that look like they should have just been amazing. So he's got, there's like what, 20 people in here? No, 16, 20. No, I was right, 20. So they got 20 people, and he's got like a list of 10 for the various categories, and he divides them up, and which means quite a few of the he'll give a list of 10 superhero group names to 5 people. So there's going to be 5 that aren't covered. But the categories are like teams that you shouldn't know that you do anyway, and why. The one-hit wonders, and why. The no-hit wonders, where it looked like it should have been a knock out of the park. The what is that called? The super groups. And and why they won't super groups and why they won't die. And there's like a list of 10 of those. And that's like literally like the band idea of a super group, where it's like the headliners and really well-known people from like 5 different similar genre bands who come together to do like 3 amazing concerts and 1 album, and then never play together again. Like
Asia.
oh Jesus, what was that one that had like Pearl Jam and was it Stone Temple Pilots, or were they in it? I think it was Stone Temple Pilots. Anyway, but like the super groups that are like people from multiple different bands. So I can't think of the comic book example of that, but it's like the big team ups that somehow ended up getting a name. And we need a 5th category.
Do we need a 5th category, or do we just need 4 group of 5?
Well, I just no, I want like a 5th category because this is the random. This is just what they're doing in the class. And the 5th group is supervillain groups so cool you wish they were heroes. So he kind of just randomly assigns these that like he assigns them basically by column. So like the leftmost group there has to pick which one you're gonna give us a 1-page summary on for the one-hit wonders, and the next group gets the no-hit wonders, and the group after that is the the ones that never should have made it and did and are that kind of thing. And then the last
so
column,
they're called super groups in the song world.
yeah, super groups. That's why he's calling them super groups, because they're super and super groups, because super groups is redundant. I guess I did come up with too many groups. No, it doesn't matter. I'll do it by row then. Anyway, so one of you guys has the super groups, and then the villains that were are so cool that people wish they were superheroes because they're just so dang cool.
I'm sorry, super villains or super villain group?
Supervillain groups that are so
Okay.
that have like
Okay.
such good press that people or not press necessarily, but just everybody seems to like them even though they're not whatever. Anyway, so that's kind of where that it's more of a research thing. Everyone ends up getting one that they're supposed to like do a quick thing on, and then everyone's going to bring that back tomorrow to class to kind of do their little bit on their individual group that they ended up picking the name for. So it's basically a research day in the class for this stuff. The idea being, if it is a one-hit wonder, why? What's your thesis? Write a thing. Also, I don't know how to grade actual papers, so just make it interesting. Like he's not grading on the English stuff. It's an opinion piece. It's a 1-page opinion piece. Why did the no-hit wonders that should have worked didn't? Whatever. So you can just get entirely just sort of vent your own personal opinion about the whole thing. Depending on how we slice this, it doesn't really matter. But I'm mostly curious. Well, table this for right now, but think about which one you ended up getting for your like you personally. Which one of those categories did you get assigned, or did you end up pulling a name for, or picking a team name for? Well, like who's writing about a villain and who's writing about a failed supergroup, and also that kind of stuff. Anyway, so the way he sells it is the way he presents it is that this is like all about, if you have a crappy superhero name, you might be saddled with it for the rest of your entire professional career. If you have a really awesome one, but you're an idiot, you might end up failing anyway. But it ends up being probably more about personal dynamics, who the leaders were, that kind of stuff, who the members were, and what their unified vision was, and things like that. I'm just going to kind of leave that there because there may be a move about that I'm going to circle back to at the beginning of next session, where we kind of have you guys do a couple of move, like each do a move about what you learned about your paper that you had to do, kind of a thing. When class wraps up with your assignments and everyone's sort of chatting out on the other thing, and somebody, who is it? Kelvin. Everyone's getting up, going out, and everyone during all this, while people are kind of chatting back and forth and doing research and pulling stuff up on their laptops and looking up these various team names and stuff like that, the chatter continues to kind of occasionally circle back to the group, the club name the team name that you guys had come up with, because it does seem to kind of catch on in people's heads a little bit. Maybe that's because everybody else sort of came up with obvious stuff and basic stuff, and at least in the case of Sequoia and Macaron and stuff, they legitimately since yesterday forgot the name that they picked when they said it the day before. Like it was such a throwaway thing that they had to stop and think about it until like Two Kick reminded them in a very annoyed fashion that it was whatever it was. But your guys is kind of sticks in the head to the point where, like, when everybody's filing out, like Kid Calvin is like Tomb Patrol as he's like going out through the door, just because it's fun to say. Surge waves you guys over as you're heading out and says, he didn't say he says, you should finish up your paperwork then for the headmaster and get that moving along. It takes a little while to get things moving, but we can probably get things expedited, but it depends somewhat on just finishing all that up. And there are places that we need to file this outside of the school for liability purposes. So
Us?
move along, scurry along, finish your paperwork. All right. Anyway. The first person who has a class with Arizella is Joe. Because after the first week, you were transferred to AP English. And your schedule was rearranged somewhat to make this happen from the standard English course. Or not AP English, Honors English. You're sophomore. Probably not
Sure.
AP. So you get shifted over to the honors thing. Now, it was presented to you as a voluntary thing, but like, you're brought in, headmaster's there, Arizella's there. They'd like to present this opportunity. It's a really great opportunity. Your instructor thinks it's, is very, feels very strongly about this. And that sort of thing. And she's sort of sitting forward on the chair and, waiting and smiling and stuff like that. And that happened. I'm not sure. Say what you're gonna say, Dave.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it's that situation where even if you wanted to, it would be way too awkward to, you know, bow out or say no unless you had a much better reason.
Right. And she looks so darn eager. Um,
That's what I'm afraid of.
so the question to you guys is, were you organized enough to realize that Joe was going to talk to her first and said, hey, Joe, like, you should talk to her since you're going to see her first?
Alex probably has a sense of whose schedules are where. So
And by sense. Yeah.
This
no.
also implies this was a group decision.
Oh, picking Arizella?
Yeah,
Was it not?
might not have been.
No, that's true.
In game.
That's true. Well, I guess figure that out. I mean, so certainly, anyway, in any case, she certainly would. I think it's fair to say that during discussions and arguments and debates and whatnot, that she certainly came up more than a few times. So yeah, after Surge's thing, it's like you need to get the paperwork sorted out, that kind of deal. Do that as soon as possible. Your next class is honors English. So you find yourself. What was the assignment that you were supposed to do in here, Joe?
We were supposed to.
Weathering Heights.
Oh, right. Yeah, we're in the middle of Wuthering Heights. And we've
Oh,
gotten
my
to the
word.
point. We've gotten to the point where the nested stories, backflashes, recollections have the quotation marks layered about 5 deep on either side of sentences because it's someone recounting a tale that they were told by someone else of a flashback that they heard about from a neighbor, kind of a thing. I don't even, that's the one thing I remember most about that book is just like the nested recollections that actually were represented grammatically with quotation marks.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's still from yesterday. She's got it up on a blackboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got it up on a blackboard where she's taken like one sentence. I should say one passage, and has, I shouldn't say, it's like up on a smartboard, and she's got like a one passage that's up there with all of the quotations and so forth, carefully notated, replicated, and then up at the top written on this, like on the side of the board vertically, like along the side of it, who is speaking? Show your work. And that is literally the assignment for the day. She shows the page number is noted, the passage is in there. And yeah, that's literally entirely it. It comes in there, she walks over, she points at the question along the side of the passage. Papers, pencils, solution. You have 47 minutes. Good luck. So yeah, it's practically a math question. Who is speaking? He spends most of the class like walking around, looking at, show your work. She's like, no, actually show your work. Next person is like, right for the wrong reasons. Yes. Show your work. Right reasons, wrong conclusion. And just kind of working your way down through the rest of this.
Nice try. Oh, you missed a layer.
Good effort. You gave up at the third nested quotation. We're not even 1/3 of the way through it. Use the back side of the paper if you need to. Use another sheet of paper if you need to. You probably will need to. So on and so forth. How much is Joe shielding his paper as she's coming by, knowing that she's coming by? Is this like, you've given up, you've given that level of defensiveness up, or?
No, I'm wrapped around, my arm is wrapped around the desk, around the paper, kind of holding down. Is it open book?
Oh
I
yeah,
assume?
yeah. She noted the page
holding
number.
it down, kind of gingerly flipping through the pages.
Yeah, the passage is helpfully on two different pages, is the front and the back of it.
Yeah.
Sheets, a lot of flipping back and forth.
And well, but also to kind of get back to, because ultimately, if she's talking about who's talking at the lowest level, well, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
If it's at each level, who is it who's talking? That makes it interesting.
You've got to back up.
Chapters. You clearly have not read Wuthering Heights.
I mean, no, I haven't. I love this though. I love it so much. Just the whole thing. So yeah, when you get
Great exercise, by the way. Thank you.
What's that?
It's a great exercise.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Who is speaking? Yes. So yeah, when she gets back there and she doesn't, how you're all hunched over and stuff, she doesn't look at your paper. She looks at the book. And she says, she looks up at the page number, which is like 145. She looks at where your thumb is currently at on like page 96. And she keeps going past you. Doesn't really stop, doesn't really slow down. Someone is headed in the right direction. And everyone's like looking up, looking around. And she's already past you and going past other desks, so they don't know who necessarily she was talking about. Maybe one other person does. What's that?
I slam my giant head down on my giant arm.
So, yeah. Class proceeding. She starts, with about 10 minutes left to go, she starts collecting up sheets from people. When she is deemed that they are either done or
aren't going to get any more done.
Completely lost?
Or they're not like, let me just rescue you before you go any further down this rabbit hole.
They're not racing the clock. They've collapsed on the far side of the track.
Yeah. This one, you've done about as well as you can. Not bad. Not bad. Oh, you just simply gave up. I see. Well, very well then. That's disappointing. Is she the sort to like put out the like announce who's getting full points? Probably not. Well, no. This is Phoenix Academy. The whole point of this is to be superior to a certain extent, to show off the higher learning, whatever. And to a certain extent, kind of remind the kid that they can do this. So, full points to Mr. Young, who managed to nail down the answer back on page 56. So good job there. Well done. Although ultimately, and she, makes some other comment, if you look at it from a representative point of view, the true speaker is, and groans from all around the group as she sort of reveals this thing. Anyway, so people, I'm going to give you a few extra minutes since we already have the papers. I'm going to give everybody a few extra minutes to get to your next class. Please do not take advantage of it by then being late to the next class. Out you get, out you go.
The true answer is ultimately the true speaker is Emily Bronte, who's the author of the book.
Of course, yeah. Um, tomorrow we move on to the next chapter and another layer down. All right, so as people are filing out, this is very nice work. Again, Mr. Young, you should be a little bit more proud of your analysis on this one. What do you think you're going to be doing your paper on when we get down to the end of this? What's your thesis? Do you have one? What argument are you going to be trying to prove?
Heathcliff as representative of outsiders in society.
Very, very appropriate. All things considered. Not for you in particular, but really for this entire school. Great. I look forward to it. I think you have a reasonable shot at a. Well, let's see how you do. A reasonable shot at an A, maybe, finally. And this isn't really any dig on you, but the honors class is sort of well known for, like, nobody figures out how to write the analysis papers well enough to start seeing A's until like second semester. People just get hammered on this stuff. Weirdly, though, when it comes to the creative writing assignments, she's ridiculously effusive, and if you put even in any kind of really honest effort whatsoever, you get very good scores. So she kind of is particularly harsh about the analytical stuff, but when it comes to creative stuff, she celebrates anybody's effort. Very interesting thing. Do you, as you're filing out and probably, the last people out, say anything to her about the team stuff with that opportunity sitting there? And
yeah, I really should. Actually, I
yes?
had a question. My friends and I had a question we wanted to ask you. Which I guess that's why it's a question, right?
Your friends met?
Yes, met. And Alex and Roddy and
Kiln.
Kiln, yes.
All right.
We are we've been encouraged to apply to the school to become an actual formal club.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, if you need my encouragement also, then I encourage you. It's a wonderful idea.
Actually hoping that maybe you could be our sponsor. If you have time,
your academic sponsor.
Our club sponsor, however that works.
Huh. I have a few questions, but we don't have time. Class is starting. When do you and your friends get together all in the same place that isn't being taken up by some other teacher?
Probably at lunch, and then I think most of us are off class. It's a Tuesday. I think most of us are off class by about 3.
I'll be tied up until 6. I'm teaching fencing and after fencing and basic hand-to-hand combat.
Well, I mean, we're all here on campus, so I mean,
right.
But I realize that's probably late and
no.
that for you.
Lunch. Come back here for lunch. Grab your food, bring it back here. I think that'll be fine. If there's any problem, just tell them to ping me, page me or something. Come back here. We'll talk about it over lunch. If that works for everyone, if they're not already tied up. If not,
I'm sure everyone will be completely down with that. Yeah. Okay.
club.
Yeah. We'll be back. Yeah.
that very interesting, Mr. Young. All right. See you at lunch then, hopefully. You better hurry. You don't want to be late.
Yes. Thank you.
Uh,
Do we have a group chat?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I don't know how you wouldn't.
So I'm definitely definitely moving at high speed through the halls to get to my class since I've chewed up 7/8 of the passing time.
Well, she did let people out a little bit
that's
early,
true.
so it's not terrible. But
It's not
yeah.
terrible, but I'm busy texting as I go, and hopefully most people get out of my way. He
Yeah.
said,
The group
meet
chat.
her for lunch about sponsorship.
The group chat is excellent, full featured, and ridiculously secure. Totally secure, ridiculous, except for the person reading it.
That's the great thing, though. It's like I don't have to spy on it. I can just
Be in it.
yeah.
It's very handy because actually getting into it would be a real pain in the neck if you weren't just in it. So there is that. Anyhow, all right. So text you the chat thing. And you can give nicknames to different people, which is always handy.
Unless they
God.
unless they see your phone.
Yes, there's always that. Kiln, what does the chat remind you of? Like, how do you sock it into this thing? Or is it just one of these really just bizarre, like, how do you relate to this?
I mean, we had some small scale forms of communication through our magic tech. Nothing like this. Although when I tried to explain our own magic tech communication to Alex, they got all flustered. As they would ask me a question and I would respond, but in a not satisfactory way, and we would just go in this loop.
Because Alex is trying to figure out. They're trying to figure out like, well, what is it like? I mean, yeah,
it.
or yeah, how did this part work, or what did you do with, It sounds like they had to like basically be looking at the thing, or accessing it. Not looking at, but accessing it, like when the message came through, to get it. Otherwise, nothing would happen. Is that true? Well, yes and no. Well, okay, yes or no. Well, it kind of depended on what? I don't know. How you felt about the message? What? How?
Of course not. That's silly. It depended on, how you felt about the sender, not the message.
This system was created by a bunch of drunken aardvarks. What? This makes no sense. There's no, stop it.
What I want to know What I want to
Did
Did
know,
it also take into account the mood of the sender at the time of the sending? Because I think that would be an important in the prioritization matrix.
The orientation of the stars in the heavens.
That's
Don't
just
be
silly.
silly, Joey. That only affected the
Return
the
receipts.
the
The reception.
what I want to know is like what weird. Okay, backing up a little bit. Okay, O period K period is like a meme. It's a terrible old stupid meme, which probably most of you already know, but it's literally the acronym for all correct. Like everything is all correct, but misspelled. So instead of ALLCORRECT, it's
Okay.
OL for all and correct with a K, spelled like with an extra K at the end or something like that. And it people kept saying that until it became OK, which was an even shorter way of doing this thing, abbreviating this thing that was wrong. Right? So just a stupid thing. What I want to know is what like BRB, LOL, ROFL thing, and you don't need to answer this right now, but I want you to think about it because it will eat away at you. What thing like that does Kiln do that is so stupidly nested like OK that you can't even really like trying to explain it, you just get back to Aardvark's created it. Like what is the thing that it? Well, it's like what do you like when you say that? What does it mean? It means I'm laughing. It means what you said is funny. Why? Well, it stands for this. How? Well, it stands for this because it's this but backwards and all that. And how many times you have to unpack it for something like that?
and there was this great story from a priestess that everyone knew where she said these specific words instead of this ritual. Obviously that's a huge blunder, but everyone was laughing.
And then if you change it, if you
there's the punchline of the joke, yeah.
And if you write the punchline out in ancient Thessalian, which of course was not the language it was originally said in, but you spell it wrong, then you get,
Reminds me of a wonderful piece in one of the Brust books about a bridge, a town that was named for the bridge near it, and that the original name was this, which meant bridge in this language, and then it became that, and now it's the bridge of the bridge city.
Love it. Yeah, I remember that as fun. So Arizella wants to talk about the thing at lunch. I don't know, honestly, whether or not this was something you guys had all agreed upon, or if this was just one of the names, and Joe kind of took it upon himself to like blurt it out at somebody. I'm curious as to which it was. I'll admit, because I can see it going either way with Joe. As the bull, just kind of, either sort of hang-doggedly deciding to be the spokesperson for this thing that everybody had agreed on, or sort of just in spur of the moment deciding to just say something and go with it. So I'm kind of curious about that. While this is going on,
I don't imagine that Joe would have done it without at least some indication that that's one of the people that was being.
I'm not saying it came completely out of the blue, but I kind of like Roddy's idea that maybe we hadn't all completely decided on it yet. Maybe we hadn't quite reached a consensus in game or out of game. If we did, it's fine. I'm not trying to inject drama at all, but I'm curious.
I think that's because Roddy was holding out for Paratronic.
This is school stuff. Roddy is completely oblivious to school stuff.
That's fair. That's fair. Speaking of Powertronic, you get a text
A date.
message. You get a text message from. I'm just wondering if he's in your phone, and like if his name is in your phone as Powertronic in all caps or something like that. But in any case, you
And
get a
Special
an exclamation
characters.
point. And 3 emoji.
and 3 emoji.
Emojis? No, not the peach emoji.
God. So you get a text from him almost exactly at the same time, and it's actually somewhat confusing because you saw a text come through and you saw that it was like, from Powertronic, but then when you actually unlocked your phone and looked at it, it was a message from Joe because his came in like a half a second later and ended up being sort of the thing on top from the other app, and like, what, Powertronic wouldn't have sent it in this thing. I saw that, and you have to like get back to the other thing. It's not that big of a message, but he's like, how many of your people are you bringing? How many people are coming on Saturday?
6.
Total or plus you? Need to order canapes.
Total.
Ha ha. Total. 6 total. Okay. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Why 6? I'm just curious.
Ah.
So.
This is
Five
me
plus his ego.
harsh.
Harsh, but fair. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so why 6?
No. So out of game. This is like in case like we need to bring along. I already forgot her name.
Oh, Arizella?
Zaria? Daryl?
I see. Okay.
In game, this is so that Roddy can show off to his friends, be like, "Look, I'm hanging out with Powertronic, and I brought you with me."
You just haven't decided who that.
You have friends outside of us?
He's trying to show off to Gothwitch.
You have friends.
Ah.
He's trying to show off to Gothwitch.
So cute.
Oh my god, I love it. I love it. I love it. So 6.
Now the rest of the team might decide, "Oh yeah. Well, she agreed to come along with us," and he's like, "Awesome." Oh, you didn't mean Tiffany. Oh.
Oh. Great.
When we get there.
So, yeah, part of you is internally squeeing at the fact that you are literally casually texting Powertronic on your way to class.
You're also desperately looking out the word canapé.
That's 2 zingers in like 30 seconds. So cold.
Why do you need so many shelters? Why do you need a different number if there's more of us coming?
How many? Oh, God. Ouch. Really? Okay. So what I want to know from Roddy is how long can you keep this under your hat, like before you somehow manage to casually bring up a conversation that, like, you were texting with Powertronic about this visit to the thing on Saturday?
Casually, I'm not even going to read what Joe sent me. I'm just going to text him back and just be like, "Hey, Joe, Powertronic says we get to come over, and there'll be canapes. Get ready for this weekend!" Exclamation point.
So that creates an interesting sort of double thread going on there, one of which seems to be invisible to Roddy almost entirely. But the other stuff is going on there with everybody else. So I'm not entirely sure that Roddy actually knows this thing is happening at lunch. Because
he's gonna be hanging with us, so I'm
not saying he's not going to show up. I'm just saying it's
wander over.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he's going to be hanging with us. He has to nail down the whole thing with Powertronic.
Yeah. Well, he kind of already has. So yeah, Roddy is taunting you about being, having this connection to the cool superhero. Um,
Haunting? No.
I'm just putting it in terms that Joe is likely to see things in.
What are you talking about? I am talking about Arizella at lunchtime.
What? Yeah, okay, schoolwork, whatever. I'm not texting that back. I'm just like,
It's all very
That's
confusing.
good because I've already broken 3 of the kind of oversized keyboards that the school has provided me this week.
You've
yeah,
got
it'll be like, yeah, I'll tell you all about the trip to Powertronics place this weekend at lunch.
do you remember oh God, what phone was this? Where you could take a phone and kind of like a smartphone and slide it down into like a secondary sleeve that had a bigger keyboard on it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you've
Yeah.
got that kind of a thing.
And to be fair, there's enough oversized people in this world that would be a thing that would be around as an adaptive tool.
Or honestly, you just basically use a phablet. Like your phone might just be like iPad size, like iPad mini sized.
Yeah.
And
you know what?
in a rugged
I am
case.
stronger than Gorilla Glass.
Yeah. Very much so.
Very misnamed.
My wife managed to actually crack the screen on her iPad 10 or iPhone 10 today. Like just dropping it, but like tossing it down on the our padded footstool, like in front of the couch, because we had like a tray there, like a drink tray, and it caught the edge of that and just broke the front glass.
Coverage of some sort.
Yeah. I managed to chip mine screen the very first day I got my phone today. Super great. I was still waiting for the case to show up, and the day before the case got here, I managed to chip the edge of my screen.
Well, Gloria's new phone is
Super great.
pristine.
Oh yeah.
But for how long?
She takes very good care of it.
Of all the things. Okay, so lunch is coming quickly. Arizona wants to talk to you at lunch. Powertronic wants to, is lining up for this weekend. Roddy's giddy.
As a schoolgirl.
What's on Met's mind? Can you remind me who you've got nailed down for like your people that you're trying to identify in the
I don't
future?
have too many.
Is it just Surge and Allura? Illyria? Ilaria?
Elid?
Elid? Aliad. Aliad.
Elid. So
Aliad.
I have,
It's not just those two, is it?
and I have Nenga. Gnenga.
Oh, the
Okay.
Nega.
Rakai. Nega.
Okay.
Nega was
the
the what?
corruptor.
He was the corruptor. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so I gotta look at one of your moves here real quick, because you've got a free period while all this stuff is going on, and I feel like where's Matt? So I'm giving you the option here during your free period to kind of like, while all these texts are kind of bouncing back and forth, and you want to, you ignore this and do a little bit like, and maybe this is a thing that you do fairly regularly on your free period, is just head back over to like the library and research rooms and stuff like that and do some more digging and try to, I mean, obviously it doesn't always bear fruit, but this seems like the kind of day when you might investigate the timeline if you're so inclined.
Yes.
Yes.
That is something I'm inclined to do.
When time passes, roll Savior to find out how your investigations into a timeline have been going. On a hit, choose one figure noted which I guess would be one of your memory people, or one aspect of the future world you can remember. You found a lead to follow to learn more and how the present version of that figure or aspect became the future version. On a 10 plus, the lead is particularly strong. On a miss, you're lost in the present. Okay, so investigate the time. So while this is all going around and you're kind of keeping half an eye on the conversation because, Joe's trying to talk about how you need to take this, take the whole, thing with Princess Arizella seriously, and to which Rodney seems to just reply with canapes in all caps, all that kind of stuff. But meantime, you're digging and trying to look at everybody. So an 8. All right. So on a 10 plus, the lead is particularly strong. Right now, you can ask the GM one question about the figure aspect, and they will answer honestly. All right. So not that. On a hit, choose one figure noted above. Oh, so one of these folks. I think there's one extra N in there than we have. Learn more about how the present version of that figure or aspect became the future version. Okay. So, Matt, who specifically are you trying to do more digging on to try to draw your connection between who this present person is to the future out of the 3 people that you?
I'm working with on the Iliad lead.
Okay.
Particularly because we're talking about robotics, which ties into the whole Sergeant Surge as the martyr figure.
So my question then is, are you doing regular research digging around the library kind of thing, or have you taken to stalking Iliad around the school? On your free periods?
I think for this, I'm going to be in the library, but just the library books. I also have 5 or 6 different odd calendar things out there. It's sort of like it's like numerology of the Bible, the stuff that I'm doing right there at this point. It's sort of like little hints in this future thing that indicates that this is a special number associated with this person. How can I backwards engineer that to a time in the present that I can then investigate deeper to figure out what's going on?
Some of this that you're having to do right now is kind of new stuff because
I don't know anything about AI and computers.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
in the sense of
that's part of
AI, because that sounds weird, but you know what I mean.
That's part of the issue. Another part of the issue is some of the stuff, like the event that at the museum where things were supposedly went sideways fairly significantly. Didn't happen the way you remember them. You know what I'm saying? Like the future. Put this another way. The past has changed from the future, from the past that you were taught in the future. So you're almost having to reteach yourself the things that led up to this point, or relearn the new reality, whatever that is.
Fill in the current data.
Right. Right.
And predict what the future data is going to be.
So we're trying to figure out how she got to be the corruptor and what that connection is to Surge.
She's the monster.
Right. Yeah, I know. I mean, what did I say? Oh, I said the corruptor. Sorry, my bad. I knew what I meant. My mouth didn't know what I was talking about. Boy, if I had a nickel for every time.
I'll
So,
be rich.
so what you end up doing research on then is Alliad's origin, or rather
Mhm.
the events. So I'm going to kind of flip this around, and I'm opening this up to the group because Alliad is, as we established, like sort of built on Surge's. How did we say this? It was a copy of Surge's basic like abilities that Aegis had gotten, and decided to do like sort of a clean iteration on. Am I saying that right? Like they wanted to do a clean copy, or is this something that?
I think it was something like that. In the idea being that it's based on the same foundational code, if you will,
Right.
that trying to eliminate the sieve defects.
Okay. So the lead that I'm looking for here, and I'm open to anything on this, but the lead that I'm looking for here is what about how this copy, imprint, clone, whatever phrase you like using, copy paste, was done, jumps out at Met as being significant, like being like, oh my God. And my thought, the only thing like as an example that I have in my head is who did it? Like who was the person behind, who is credited with having accomplished this sort of duplication? Like maybe that person is a big like, oh my God, like we need to learn more about that. Like that's the weird thing. That's the thing that shows or presents to Matt like a big eye widening moment or something. But I'm kind of thinking of, I don't know what to, I don't have that. That's like one idea, and if so, I'm kind of open to suggestions as to who that might be. But unless it's Powertronic, in which case I'm not open to suggestions because I really like that idea.
I was going to say Quiltech, but Powertronic's good. Listen,
Okay, so so you're sitting in the library, and we have like in like a comic book framing. We've got the panels, and you're like sort of you're doing the studying and flipping through things and stuff, and looking up like Surge's early years, kind of like criminal history, that kind of thing. Like pull up the basic Wikipedia article, whatever. Um, Digging through various online records, criminal records, things of that nature. Uh, uh, People he's tussled with in the past, and you do see like, and meanwhile along the side of the panel is the text communication that's going on in the group chat. Okay, everybody's color coded. Chats are going back and forth, and that clearly is like they're just drawing you doing research, which is kind of boring. So the writer for the comic is having all their fun with the chats, with the dialogue that's bouncing back and forth between
everyone else.
everybody else in chat. So Powertronic this, blah that, da 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 da, superhero, one of the great, and you're finding maybe it's because the chat's there and you're thinking about it or whatever, but Surge and the people that he gets involved with throughout his criminal history tangle with the Halcyon's Hero League a lot. And he ends up tangling directly with Powertronic a lot. Like, that is one of his, you almost might call them like nemesis.
My nema.
They see they seem to tangle a lot, and in a lot of like any of the sort of action shots or reporting photography that's done of the various shot, things that you find in online or anything like that. Any group, and there's more than a few solo tussles. Well over, close to a dozen different times where they've apparently duked it out one-on-one with nobody else around. They just seem to have tangled a lot, and when you're digging through the whole timeline thing, and it takes a fair amount of digging to backtrack from, Aliad is here now, and based on the technology from Surge and blah 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 blah, and finally getting back to. And it's never even actually directly said. Yeah, Halcyon Hero League had a lot to do with it, with so on and so forth. But it was only through contributed expertise from the Halcyon Hero League, extended involvement and contributed expertise from Halcyon Hero League that finally like sort of cracked the code on this. And the picture that is shown, and this is only from probably 6 months ago, of Aliad in like a press conference kind of thing, and what's been accomplished and stuff. And there's like the one, like the arc behind her of people standing there are like to one side of her is Aegis folks looking official, scientists, researchers and that sort of thing, and like the head of Aegis, and then on the other side, Halcyon's Hero League, or at least several representatives, call it 4 or 5. But it's the expression on Powertronic's face, because he's not looking at the camera, which, first of all, atypical. He's looking at Aliad, and his expression is, let's just say, complex, but it's certainly pride and a certain amount of smugness. Now, okay, again, that may just be his resting face, but there is definitely an aspect of, like, you start to suspect it when you see that the HHL was involved, but when you see his expression, you're like, oh yeah, it was definitely him. And it was definitely, like, there's no way, as many times as he's been punched in the face by Surge, that this wasn't, like, accomplished through some personal motivation. So, there you go. That's wherever that leads you, with her being the monster and Surge being the martyr. Do with that what you will. And probably parallel to this is Rodney, like, sort of like saying something in chat about, like, listen, Powertronic's one of the most genius, technological inventors, of the modern age. Like, there probably isn't any major technological advancement that he didn't have something to do with in the last 10 years, kind of thing. This is going to be awesome, kind of a deal.
Got it.
I got it. Good, going on. Yeah. I like it too. I wish I thought of it earlier. Anyway.
Means I get to roll on Powertronic soon. Wonder what box he goes in.
That'll be so much fun for Roddy. I want to make him Roddy's mentor when we need to decide that he's the cause of all pain. That'll be great. Like that'll be the perfect timing.
So I have a two-part
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Was Matt doing this investigation in actual books or on a computer?
I don't know. I'm gonna say it has to be a mix at least, and probably not. I mean, the kind of stuff she's looking at is pretty recent history. I think it would almost have to be online.
There's a little bit that's microfiche.
Yeah, like
That's
early.
more sort of like early history of I mean, who made Sergeant?
That's a hell of a question. So I'm gonna say that like when you get into Surge's early history stuff, it's probably like the microfiche kind of thing because he probably goes back to some super soldier program from World War II or something.
A secret cabal of scientists,
There you go. Love it.
rogue scientists.
Rogue scientists, trying to achieve some sort of, super soldier kind of thing. Blah 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 blah.
That would end all wars.
Yeah.
Because that trick never fails.
Yeah, it works perfectly well every time. So yeah, I mean, so probably early on, but let's say for all the recent stuff and where Matt finally settled on stuff, absolutely online. So follow-up question number 2.
This is strictly for Margie. How much does Alex now know about your goals?
Ooh.
It's a good question. I mean, she's been pretty open with her larger goals, but I don't know that or how much she shared about her research.
I think you should pierce the mask.
I mean, like Joe knows that I had a flash on good the museum. I don't know. I can't remember if I shared that with other people or not. Go back to the notes. Yeah, I mean, I think it probably, if nothing else, you know what it does is it gives you some insight into sort of like how she's doing her research, right? And the threads that she pulls, what she finds, worthy of more delving into versus that she just leaves on the table that you might think was interesting.
So I don't think this actually contradicts anything that Margie just said, but I think any actual facts about what she was researching, what facts she pulled up or anything like that, I think that's basically an open book to Alex. Putting it together, what it all means to Met, I feel like that might be a pierce the mask kind of a thing, because like, why is she doing this? What's her motivation?
Oh yeah, I'll roll that with Soldier then.
Okay. I'm laughing at my daughter, who just very diligently and responsibly plugged in her phone to charge overnight to a cord that in fact is not plugged into the wall. So
I've been there, done that.
good job there. Yeah, I've done that too. All right, I heard a beep. Let me flip back here. Rolling with
was a 10.
Soldier. Man.
Yeah,
All
so you just can't shift my labels, but just drop that in the text chat or something like that.
All right.
We have our what are you really planning? What do you intend to do, and what do you want me to do?
So that's what she's able, or sorry, that's what they're able to infer kind of from the various things, and it should be able to kind of suss out. Like I said, Alex can get the facts, but put the facts together to be able to come to certain conclusions. Which, Margie, if you would, and Aegis. So swimming is at 7. You need to get up at 6. Yeah.
I'll take that.
Sorry, I was switching.
I know that's 5 o'clock your time, Bill.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. I had to do 5 o'clock Monday and Tuesday morning.
James is convinced that you don't sleep, Bill.
I've been waking up at very odd hours. That's all.
Man.
Need to respond, or are you needing to give me something else?
No, you go ahead and kind of look at those. Bill can remind you of the questions, that kind of thing. I'm looking at how to shift Alex's labels from Aegis.
So basically, the top 3 questions from Pierce the Mask, which is, what are you really planning? What do you intend to do? And then what do you want me, and by extension, maybe the team, to do?
So what I'm really planning is I'm planning to prevent the disaster that occurred in my future or my past that caused the Earth to be abandoned. So that's my plan. You may suss out, since you got a 10, is that I'm trying to do that without erasing myself from history. Erasing myself as a future person. So that's what I'm really doing.
Did I lose everybody, or is there a long pause?
I'm still there.
Okay. Margie pondering.
I think she stopped the Earth from being destroyed, but we lost her in the process.
I see. I'm only hearing so far. I'm only hearing you and Mike. So possibly we lost the consortium for a second.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Basement Club, Star Lord. Bloop. There's definitely a cap on how many people you can have online, like going through the throughput of all the stuff, and
No, they've been pretty good since I got the new router.
they really have. This is a skosh unprecedented.
Yeah.
Um,
If I had to guess, hopefully it was just a random hiccup, but worst case scenario, it might have just been Comcast going down.
I see her reconnecting to.
Yep,
Roll
their
20.
icons just reappeared
I'm
on the
back.
thing.
Hello.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
That was fun.
Welcome back to the land of the living.
Hello.
Grab a shovel and start digging.
Hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Righty.
The last thing we heard from you was that you were trying to, change the future without erasing yourself. So that's what you were up to.
Right. And then,
Next thing you know, she erased all of us.
Yeah.
and then what I've recently discovered is that my actions do have an impact and effect on a known what I know of history. That
Right. So you can change stuff. So that's more worrisome. Um,
well, it's good because that's kind of what I need to do, but it is kind of scary.
yeah.
What are the other
So
questions?
Yep, that was it.
Oh,
I didn't hear a what do you want me to do?
Oh, yeah.
what do you
I
want
think that
Alex, or by
it-
extension the team, to do?
so I'm going to give you kind of a red herring here because this is my thought about Kirby Craft.
Okay.
I need you to help me to the chamber under the Atlas statue at the entrance. You have no clue that there's anything below the Atlas statue at all. Not in your records anyway.
So yeah, there's probably some non-fruitful line of Googling that Met was doing about this that was like both very focused and like adamant that there was something going on. that there was something there to find, but at the same time, like frustratingly, turned up absolutely nothing. That's got now Alex, like you going, well, crap, what did she think was there? Because she wouldn't have been doing that randomly for no reason, kind of a deal. So,
And my story for that is that, as I was doing research, I saw an image of the statue flashed on it.
and this is connected to your Kirby craft in some way?
It's where it comes from.
Interesting.
Right down there. Like the
So your
interact.
angle on this is that your Kirby craft isn't necessarily something that you put together, but it's something that from your studies is available.
There.
So you're finding like the owl craft or whatever.
Yeah, because I'm not a builder.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
I think it's that I know that it's there, or I believe it's there.
So two
and that it's key.
Two unrelated things, but I just want to say them quick before I forget. Has anyone seen the recent like series on the Watchmen that they're doing? Out of the group.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Never mind then for the follow up. But yeah. We watched the first episode and it hit. It's really really good, but it hits really really close to home because it opens up with the Tulsa massacre.
Right.
And holy moly! But anyway, it made me think about the owl mobile or whatever the hell that was called in the Watchmen series. Anyway,
She had a name. I can't remember what it was.
Can't remember either.
Archimedes.
Archimedes. There you go.
Yeah.
Inexplicably, the Tulsa Police Department has that thing at the beginning of the series. No explanation forthcoming. Although one is led to believe that there is an explanation. Not back in 27, but like in the modern day. And it just was the idea of like finding an old super ship. Obviously, that's where my mental connection went. Anyway, all right, cool. So hidden space.
Not weird given the series.
What's that?
It's not weird given the series.
It's not weird. Yeah.
At the end of, or towards the end of Watchmen, the police did raid his place.
Oh yeah.
And probably captured a lot of his stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Well done. It's been a long time since I watched the movie. Anyway,
movie.
Or read the book. Either one. So, what are you really planning? What do you want me to do? What do you intend to do? All right, we have that pretty well nailed down. Thank you, Bill, for kind of looping yourself into there because I was coming around to you.
I like it.
In a bit too. Kiln, I have a question. Underwater society that Princess Arizella apparently comes from. Because she's a princess to some some amount, and all that kind of stuff. Was that society in some iteration a going concern back in your day?
Not necessarily a concern, but
well, I didn't mean like a thing. Were they around? Was that?
Yeah, they were around. There was some communication, or their ancestors of some sort. I don't know if Kiln ever really met any of them, but there was talk between traders and stuff was sent around, and there was Kiln or I decided to sit into one of her fencing classes.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, her superhero
And-
idea is Cutlass, so she definitely leans into the more modern. I say modern.
Yeah.
Modern by comparison to you, I guess.
yeah, because I wanted to, see more about this new, what new styles had come about. And at one point, a, uh, you know, stack of helmets or something was knocked over, and she kind of swore in her native tongue, and I recognized enough of the language to know what she said.
Love it. Love it. I think the idea that I think probably the biggest shift for you with regards to her or her people is the idea if she's a princess, that means they got organized enough to be a kingdom or to be some sort. Because while there were the people down there and they were traders and there was an exchange and stuff, they were smaller, largely, I wouldn't say disorganized, that they were just disparate. They weren't, nobody down there was trying to be part of a larger,
Perhaps more nomadic.
could be, absolutely, migratory, one might say, but yeah, nomadic's a good way of doing that. And
I'm thinking of if you're talking about traders, if you think about, a lot of the desert people, right?
sure.
They're traders. They don't build cities because
Well, and you think of
they're always moving.
the natural yearly or even over the time of decades, or what's the cycle of coming back to the beaches to lay eggs for like sea turtles and stuff like that, where it's like years before they'll come back to the same beach or something like that. So yeah, the idea that they're for a long period of time like nomadic and really kind of cyclical in their migrations and stuff. So you've got different groups. If you're a shore settlement or something like that, the group that you're dealing with in 1 year is not likely to be the same group the next year. Or if it is, they're only there like April through June and then they're gone again for a year, that kind of a thing. So the idea that they shifted enough to form like what's apparently like a stable and largely sedentary structure for their society is interesting and maybe a little sad. I don't know. I don't know what Killen's. You have to tell me what Killen's read on this is, because the fact that they were like these true wanderers, and apparently they've sort of settled
Probably
down.
romanticized a bit.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I don't know how would Killen think about this? Is like they find is it they finally got civilized, or good for them, or oh, they finally got civilized. What a shame. Not that Killen has anything for or against civilization, but in light of these specific peoples.
No, I think Kiln would be more interested in learning their history and seeing what they could learn from about their own people from the records of this more distant society.
Have you ever approached her about that in the past? Or is it just something you've been
Um,
kind of like holding in your back pocket for a while, for now?
I think it may have been touched on slightly because Kiln probably continued going to her fencing classes.
Sure.
But I don't know if they ever got a solid conversation in.
Where they were actually gonna and she's not a deep historian, is how she would put it. But so the door was left open. say it like that. I asked this mostly to see, to get an idea of like what Kelm's interest in her, what ulterior interest you might have in or my interest might be piqued by her being sort of the counselor for the group or the academic advisor for the group. I say academic advisor, just advisor for the group, faculty advisor. Anyway, so
Well, if for clubs, she's the club advisor.
yeah, the club advisor or whatever. But she is the faculty advisor for your club. Yeah. In any case, all right. So word has gone out. Grab your food, bring it to the classroom at lunchtime. And we find you, kind of back there, arranged somewhat around there. She's having, I don't know, she brought her own food. And it's kind of on the side of her desk, not really paying attention. She's standing in front of the desk and kind of sitting back on the front edge there, just sort of leaning back, lean sitting, whatever. First of all, I would like to say that I am honored that I was even considered for something like this. I was in a number of different clubs in school, and I always had, no. I often had a great deal of respect for the for the faculty advisors that we had for our clubs, and I think they added a lot when they were engaged. And I hope that if we end up in that kind of arrangement, that I can bring some value to whatever it is that you have going on. I haven't said yes. I'm not sure that you all want me to say yes. I thought we would all talk about it, but I have a few questions, if you don't mind. So you're forming a club of small group. I'm assuming for, call it heroic shenanigans. Why? What are you planning to get up to, broadly speaking? Break this down for me. Roddy, give me your take.
Please. I was going to jump in so he wouldn't.
She
What are we
wants
doing?
I don't care if that's in character or not. I love that as a response. So she's like, what kind, like, I'm assuming you're forming this club for heroic shenanigans, but of what sort? Like, what's the point of this? What are you planning to do as this club? Roddy, give me your take on this.
Looks up from his phone. What are we doing?
Yeah, this is when I just step up and say, looks at him. He's looking up. I was like, well, as you probably know, there's
She is like pinching the bridge of her nose a little bit. Thought bubble over her head is, I'm glad to know he doesn't just do it when it comes to my homework. Anyway, Matt, you were stepping in to say.
I was stepping in to say that so as you know, so we spread across quite a broad swath of time, and we've sort of discovered that there's some overlap in our histories and in our futures, and outside of, if you say, heroic shenanigans, we're very much interested in exploring exploring those connections, so that we can expand our own knowledge and understanding. And as it says on Joe's paper, we want to do the right thing. The hero shenanigans point.
So,
At least that's my own.
To a certain
point.
extent, investigating yourself, learning more about yourself. Is this largely then just for research around the campus? Alex.
Yeah, that's what we kind of glanced sideways at Alex and
I am going to check on the progress of Dig Dug and see if it is located in any temples or tombs for me yet.
There are two that are. There's a certain amount of this that involves like sort of layered response, like uh, likelihood of this particular kind of thing being true, likelihood of the second thing being true, and then kind of layers these likelihoods over top of each other until you start to get hotspots.
Yeah, that's all I'm looking for.
Okay, so yeah, you've got something in on the Pacific side of the Central America, like along the coast there, or at least in that area that seems to be a high likelihood. There's a couple. What's
Chilean
that?
coast. On that side, right?
Coast.
Central America.
You
Yeah,
said
Central
I'm
America.
sorry.
So like Costa Rica,
Honduras.
north or south of Panama, that kind of thing, like facing towards the Pacific. Um, most of the stuff that seems to be coming up hotspots is sort of somewhere around that, very broadly speaking, the Pacific Rim, but like around the Pacific. More in a lot of cases, more maybe Indonesia, uh, 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 possibly Australia, although there's a lot of conflicting stuff there. It's not coming up hot. Um, Southeast Asia, and a lot of just scattered bits that your algorithm can't quite nail down. As like, is there an island, or just should there be an island?
This is definitely a work in progress, and as we learn more about what identifies these sites, we'll get better about it. So I expect it'll be vague for right now.
Right. I will say the Central American one is looking pretty tasty.
Yeah. So for purposes of answering this question, though, not around the school, not in Halcyon City. We're probably going to be flying internationally.
So worldwide travel, interesting. And Hellbinder's already aware of this and has put his stamp of approval on this.
Now we all look at Alex.
If we come up with fill out all the paperwork and get a sponsor, yeah.
I have to admit, I was intrigued, and then I was less intrigued when I thought I was going to be overseeing a lot of computer research. It's not really my thing. But this sounds very interesting. Who's the overlaps here? Tell me more. I mean, I'm assuming Matt is at least part of it since she explained part of it, but who else are we talking about with potential personal interest? If I can dig a little bit, but I'm going to be kind of helping with this, so I want to, if you don't mind, at least saying that much. What are the connections here? Help me understand.
Well,
I'll look over at Kiln.
from what I understand of Alex's program is that they are looking for architectural styles similar to that of my people.
Right. And so I had assumed, let me say, not so much about the program. Matt had said that there's overlaps in some of your pasts and futures. Who's got the most skin in this game, so to speak? Obviously, I think Kiln, you do. Met, I'm assuming some of this
I'll
has
look
to do with
over
you.
at Joey in answer to that.
There may be something related to. He kind of gestures at himself.
And your thing,
vaguely.
your thing was like Central African jungle kind of event, right?
Yeah.
Congo? Yeah. Okay.
It looks like there's a common thread in the
Magitech, I
the
guess.
application of the Magitech over
Ah,
time. How it's been used in
we've had historians and scientists and histroscientists and of various types, and more than a few religious crackpots that of my people who attempted on a number of occasions to crack the code, if you like, with regards to, or really stories about it from the early days when she pauses as if she's trying to like find the right way to say this. When that technology became much more readily available to people who weren't part of the society. And she's trying to come up with a way of saying, like, when you were all gone and the ruins were still there to be picked over.
looted.
And we never had any luck, as I understand it, no one had any luck really consistently making any of it work. There's stories, of course, here and there, usually monkey's paw type of situations. And then she looks absolutely horrified at what she just said, and she's like looking at Joe, like she's like just like she doesn't even know if what she said is horribly offensive, but she's terrified that it might be.
Joe's eyebrows raised at the reference, and he's like, "Oh, right, monkey's paw, got it."
No,
I
for
didn't
good luck-
mean.
Alex is going to jump in to try to tank the blame here.
Okay.
Okay. We're bringing the whole monkey this time for good luck.
That's.
That gets a little bit of a look.
So, little soul searching, little historical delving, a little globe trotting. If you can get Hellbinder to approve me, I'm happy to volunteer.
Okay. Let me ask you a tactical question.
All
Do
right.
you want Hellbinder approval, or do you want an email from Hellbinder saying that Hellbinder approves?
I think that first one. I think we'll need to talk it over a little bit. The only reason I say that you need to get his approval is this is only my first year here. Technically, I'm not supposed to be a faculty advisor. He might say yes. Because in my experience, he's pretty flexible about these kinds of things. His mind is quite open, and he likes trying things that have not. I almost think he sees. No, she'll say this kind of thing. This is the kind of thing that she's too young not to say, because she hasn't learned that sometimes this kind of stuff will turn around and bite you in the ass later. But she'll say, I actually think he gets a kind of perverse glee if he finds out that this is something that the school has never done before, that he just wants to try it. So
That's his feels his rule breaking ish of the Reformed.
kind of, yeah. And this is one of those things that she'd say, because she hasn't been not a student long enough to realize that if you say that kind of stuff, then it becomes the thing that students keep saying, and eventually, it's
Someone
just
hears
the thing.
about it.
Yeah, someone hears about it, and then you're the one who got all the kids to start saying that Hellbinder just likes breaking the rules just because they're rules.
I'm just going to say, as a player, the dude self-identifies as Hellbinder. It's going to be very hard to shit talk him. Like he's set a high bar already.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, what do you exactly expect? But in any case, I think this is great. I'm excited to be whatever degree I'm taking part in it. I don't imagine I'll be flying along and babysitting, but I'm happy to do so if you decide you want that extra level of expertise, or act as a tour guide if any of those hotspots end up being underwater. So, and I might, Killen,
I
you
filled
and I
in a
need to
pause
talk.
here.
You feel a what?
I fill in a pause here
Okay.
and say, well, there's one more thing you should know.
All right.
Kind of decided on Tomb Patrol as our group name. waiting for her to cringe.
I mean, it's a little bit on the nose, but I have to I'm perfectly happy for that to be my first faculty advising club that I got. I mean, it's better than at least 4 out of the 5 clubs that I was a part of when I was in school. And no, I am not telling you.
I turn towards Alex and give him a big thumbs up.
Freshman year, the Outcasts. I mean, who?
Outsiders.
Yeah, the out. There
No,
you go.
that was sophomore year.
No, for yeah, there you go. Freshman year, the Outcasts. Sophomore year, the Outsiders. I mean, everybody does the Outsiders.
I want to think that by senior year, senioritis has kicked in and their team name is Fuck It.
No,
Though they can only get away with FU.
And no, even then, no.
Fine understanding.
Yeah, there's a lot of
The friendly unifiers.
Fine, upstanding comrades of justice. Something like that.
flower insects.
Okay. All right. Well, what do I need to sign? And you can bring it in to get the final signature from Hellbinder, and we'll just all cross our fingers.
All right.
All right. So, well, all right. I'm excited. I look forward to the first thing that you end up doing. I'm going to share. I don't know actually how well this is going to work. But I will give it a shot in the masks thing. Can I do this? No, it's not going to work. Plus. I look forward to your first, I guess we'd call it a field trip. Oh.
Technically third.
I'm going to have to share this a different way, so we'll get back to this. The first club field trip. I was going to share like the cutaway to the middle of your next club field trip, but according to Discord, my files are too powerful because they're too big for Discord, so I'll have to share out a Google Drive link the next time. And now I know that I need to do that. So I took a video and turned it into a GIF, and it's way, way, way too big for that 8 megabyte limit.
You can also upload to Imager, which I don't think has such a restrictive size limit, and just link that.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'll probably do that. They ended up being big because I made the frame rate such that they would look a little bit more the frame rate at 5 is very jerky. Yeah. So, anyway.
I have one thing I want to get Alex done, have Alex get done tonight.
Okay.
To support Met. And I hope that we can just breeze through this, but I have ways to get it done.
Okay.
What's the fastest way to get under the Atlas statue? Like, is there tunnels, caves, or some other entrance, or would we have to blast?
Oh no, definitely don't have to blast.
Press certain letters on the bronze plaque that actually are a message, and it causes the panel to slide open with a grating sound.
The statue actually doesn't have anything to do with what's underneath it.
Oh, okay.
What's underneath it is below the footings of the statue and was there.
So we got to get to underneath the sub basement and then go
on an island.
Yeah. So what Alex had in mind was to to bring in some kind of Aegis resource for this, so that they didn't have to give away their surveillance of Met, and this could just all be discovered coincidentally. Like Alex could get this arranged and then text Met and say, "Hey, I got a message that there's something happening at this place at this time. Can you go investigate?" And basically make it look like an accident.
Yeah, but we don't want them to have what's underneath there.
Wrangling Met's access to whatever it is would be part of what Alex does as well.
Okay.
And at that point, Alex will just have to front with Aegis and say, this is part of our activities. This is investigating the things that you folks want me to access or investigate, which is what these things mean for this team. This is a means to that end. So please keep your hands off.
Okay.
I'll give you specs when I can.
Now, so
Exactly.
Margie, I'm trying to I want to nail down exactly what you're thinking here. Is it like in a chamber underneath, or is it legitimately buried?
It's in a chamber.
Okay, all right. In that case, so it isn't like we're not saying that the statue folds back out of the way. It's just underneath. It's geographically located underneath this thing. It's not like it comes out.
Coincidence that is, but
yeah,
anyway.
not exactly.
I think somebody may move the marker sticks a little bit.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, Alex wouldn't necessarily access this by, they wouldn't go up and like do something to the statue and have it like pull back to like an access tunnel. Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Underground, there just happens to be a statue there.
That's the marker of where it is.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. In that case,
Don't you guys think it would be cooler to have it,
Oh, I think having it
be our new basement lair, but a bunker. I love it.
Is your Kirby Craft kind of like a giant motorhome?
No.
Decided. I was gonna have a team project on that.
There's a I'm reminded of a thing from Hogan's Heroes, because I watched that as a kid, where they were the prisoners in this POW camp were trying to dig a tunnel, make it look like they were trying to dig an escape tunnel underneath the snowman that they were putting up in the middle of the thing. And the guy was like carefully walking around the open yard, and he finally stops and he was like, here, right here. This is the only place that we can pretend to be digging that wouldn't actually end in a tunnel underneath. And that's where they put the snowman. That's kind of what the island is like, Alex. I'm not saying it's riddled with tunnels and secret access points and abandoned or not abandoned, superhero mini bases and stuff like that for various groups and the thing, but kinda.
It's got a long history.
The trick isn't finding the trick isn't like, is there a tunnel down there? The trick is finding the one that actually gets where you need it to go.
I can fix that then. All that I need them to do is drop a bunch of remote drones on site, and I will have them systematically explore the tunnels.
Oh, nice. I like that. So yeah, you find a couple of access points down in like sub basements. There's a couple of lockers and hallways that nobody really seems to be using, that like the back opens out into like a little
Please tell me there's one
down.
off of our basement clubhouse. Please.
I mean, do you want there to be?
In their fridge.
Like move the fridge and
or behind the 3 dead PCs, your choice.
Something like that. Yeah. You got to punch in. There's like, you got to punch in on the dead keyboard, like a certain code, and then like the door opens or something like that, which is kind of cool, but it leads down to like, that's just some of the tunnels. So yeah, the mapping has begun. There's going to be some problems there where some of the doors don't open and stuff like that, but you map this thing. So the last thing we see,
there's probably a problem with those other clubs on campus that are actually using some of those spaces. as the Aegis drones suddenly show up in their doorway.
Some of them sort of disappear, like randomly, like disappear and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys ever saw Reboot, but there was like these little drones that one of the guys would like sort of send around. That they looked like they were discs. They were like Pong discs that would kind of bounce. So they flew, but they also kind of had that sort of bouncing off the walls kind of movement thing.
Physics.
So sort of like flying Roombas, I guess, in that sort of way. But the last thing we see for the episode is the drones are dispersed, and Alex kind of watching the screen, and basically let them do the thing, but still kind of nudging them to this X of the map of the on the island where the Atlas statue is at, and kind of nudging them that direction in terms of the mapping, because it's like a Roomba. When you want them to clean a certain spot on the room, if you wait for that, it's going to drive you crazy because they never actually go there.
Drunken sailor approach.
Right.
Drunken master approach.
So
Excuse me.
he's kind of nudging them that general direction. We finally see, like, with the screen lighting up their face and stuff, with her like this slow kind of wry, kind of a smirky, kind of closed mouth smile as they kind of go, "Gotcha." Or something like that. I don't know, gotcha, or why hello, or something like that as you find the space.
Sounds good.
And
I would.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I would like to propose that at some later date when we try to come down here, we find that all the tunnels have changed around because actually it's, through some superhero related incident, it's now the tunnels underneath the academy are now connected to the ancient Greek labyrinth. And if you go into the wrong door, you could end up in who knows when.
I like it.
Yeah.
We definitely need to get the vehicle someplace else then.
I was going to suggest that the chamber that the vehicle is sitting in actually bears a striking resemblance to the stone patterns of at least the one temple that we know about that's associated with Kiln's people.
That's fun for me. This gift doesn't want to open. I'm kind of annoyed.
I'm looking at it.
Are you? All right.
I could.
Yeah, I ended up having to download it.
There you
Yep.
go.
Yeah, I left an hour-long playthrough of the challenge Tombs and Crypts from Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is set in Peru. There's a lot of imagery here that you can borrow for any kind of like
Nice.
jungle jumping adventurer,
Cool.
and there's a lot of interesting challenges. So there you go.
I'm gonna see if I can't loop these things back into it. The reason I did them as as the animated image files rather than leaving them as the movie is because doing that stripped out the sound of me being on a treadmill at the time. So, which is not anything any other person needs to hear. So.
Oh, that's the
James?
reason because of that's the reason for the weird reflection.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm literally I'm in the middle of a run, and when the guy says, "Okay, you guys go ahead of me for a little bit," I'm literally like grabbing my cell phone and filming the screen in front of me. So it's really just meant to give an impression. I've got like 3. I'm gonna try to string them together into something that's actually more easily viewable. We'll get them out there.
I just have a question for James.
Mm.
Do you know that there is Lantean Minecraft skin?
Really? You?
Define that because I know there are drowned zombies.
No, I mean there's a skin for
People
Lantean
have made
piranha
lots-
guards, Lantean guards, Lantean.
Oh,
People
cool.
have made lots of skins in Minecraft. I don't know why you're surprised by this.
That's super cool. I like that though. Oh,
Lantean goddess.
I'm gonna pause it, guys. Thank you very much. I think that's probably it. We will begin next
Think
time,
so?
probably
Right.
with the Kirby Craft.
My only suggestion is
Uh-huh.
my reference for the Kirby Craft that I dropped into Roll20.
Where
Okay.
was
Yeah.
that? Ooh, looking.
King?
Oh, come on.
Somebody brought up a mobile home, so I was like,
I did in fact.
uh-huh.
So bad.
That
So I
wasn't
blamed
specifically
it.
what I was thinking of, but that's okay.
Lovely.
I know what you were thinking of.
There's an only slightly more serious alternative.
The Golden Condor. Oh my God.
I like that one.
Oh, the 80s. Was that the 80s?
Oh, the Mysterious Cities of Gold. That was like late 70s?
Doesn't even say on the thing.
Oh, it's not going to.
Yeah.
It's going to say in like some master post.
The Mysterious Cities of Gold.
I didn't think that
1982 to
Headmaster would.
1983.
Oh, the 80s.
If you've never seen it, watch the intro for that.
It is great.
It is amazingly catchy.
Okay.
Actually, I'm looking at it right now.
All right. All right. We'll be off for the next time. Very exciting.